As always, we look back first of all. It's been a good start to the season for the New Saints. 16 points out of a possible 18, unbeaten so far, top of the table, the leading goal scorers.
Yeah, well, I think it was a really important game for us Saturday for a number of reasons against Barry. One, because I think they're a very good side, got a good manager, and have done really well, especially in the recent weeks in the season. So I think that was number one. And number two, after you do draw away from home, we did drop points, and the first points we dropped against Penybon away. I thought it was really important to follow that up with a win. I think that draw always looks better if you do win straight away afterwards. So we're hoping that come the end of the season, that might be a good point away at Penybon. But I thought that was important for us from a performance point of view as well. I thought we played quite well in patches of games, created enough to win the game, and we'd like to have got that second or that third goal once we got that one goal. So yeah, we were happy with that performance. We're happy with the results come the start of the season, but understand that there's a lot more, I think, that to come from this team and the way we're playing and the way we can perform and deliver and execute on the pitch.
Still with JD, but a switch from the Conwy Premier to the Welsh Cup this Friday. There's been no competition for 2 seasons, but TNS is the current holders of the Welsh Cup. In comparison to the league, which is obviously the bread and butter with European qualification, guaranteed if you win the title or finish second, how important is the Welsh Cup in terms of that big picture for you?
Well, yeah, it is important. I think, one, because TNS are the holders from, like you say, years ago, having not been able to play due to COVID, I would assume. And I think that cup is important. I think if you can have a good run in that cup, you want to try and get as far as you can in it. I think the fact that the cup is played on the weekends and not midweek allows you to possibly pick a stronger team if you want to. I know we'll talk about that later on, but I think that gives you a sort of a respite from the league a little bit. So I think that makes it a more workable cup that can do well. And I think that with the highest cup competition you could argue in Wales, I think it is really important. And we want to win every game that we play in. I think it's a great opportunity. You saw in the last Welsh Premier League game, we gave some game time to some good young players, Jake Canavan, Gianni, those ones. So I think for a number of reasons it's really important for us, and we want to go and win the game Friday for sure.
And we do travel to Conwy Borough. They are in the second tier of Welsh football, the Conwy North. You are meticulous in your preparations and analysis of the opponents. What do you expect them to bring to the game?
Yeah, we've managed to get their last 2 games on video, which has been really helpful, really handy. So we've got a couple of reports on them as well. So we're just working through them at the moment and getting them ready for the weekend. So I feel like we've got as much information as we can get of them. Obviously, the games aren't as available as what they are in the Premier League. But I think that's really key, that we do our work on them, but then also concentrating on ourselves as well. I think the fact that it's away from home makes it more of an interesting tie as well, for them as well. Friday night game, which I think is good for both teams. We'll enjoy that, and I'm sure they will as well. So yeah, we've got enough information on them to give us a good overall picture of where they're at. They've had a bit of a sort of funny start to the season in a way. I think they've won 3, drawn 3, lost 4, but had a really good start and haven't won in a few games now. But I would say that when it comes to cup competitions, everyone's looking to beat us in that competition. They'll be looking to do that Friday night. So I think probably form goes out the window, and we just have to win these games. I've been on the other end of big games or giant killing games, being the underdogs many times before in the Football League or when I was in the National League. So I think that you've got to make sure that when you're the higher placed team, without no disrespect, that you make sure you do your job right first and be professional and try and hopefully get the job done on the night.
And there are no midweek games either side of that fixture. Will that influence the side that you put out?
Yeah, I think it can do. Yeah, we've been looking at the side this week over the last few days. The fact that, like you say, it isn't a midweek game means that you don't have to necessarily rest players, because it's just a 1 game a week sort of to follow through into the next game. So yeah, that could affect our decision, but then also making sure that we give game time to the players that need game time. We've got a very good squad here, very competitive squad. There's players that aren't in the team at the moment who could definitely step in and play, or could be arguing that they could be in the starting lineup and should be in the starting lineup. So some of them might get the opportunity as well, but trying to find the balance will be key.
And going back to the Barrytown United game, Rhys Parry and Gianni LeBlanc-Akpo were both on the bench. Are we likely to see more youngsters involved this time round?
Yeah, we could do. I mean, Jake Canavan scored 2 in the last game and played. Gianni, as you said, he come off the bench in the last game and scored, got a goal. So he's been doing really well in and around the group at the moment. And there's a lot of good young players that are in and around the first team. I'm in training again today. We had 2 or 3 join in with the session from the youth team, from the scholars. And that's important to get them involved. And if they're good enough, then they'll play. And when given the opportunity, they've really impressed myself and the first team staff when they have. I think we've managed to give out a lot of debuts this season. In Europe, I think 2 or 3 in Europe, and then 1 or 2 in the cups, and then maybe 1 or 2 in the leagues as well. So we want to promote the young players here. I feel, I've said it before, the academy I think are punching well above their weight and doing a great job with the players that they're producing. Good competition for players in that step down of those players just below the first team. So I think the future's bright with that, and we've got to make sure we nurture them and manage them in the right way of giving them the game time when they're ready, doing the extra training sessions with them. For example, today we had an extra session with the younger first and second year pros, a double session where they come out and work on their own individual development plans spread amongst 3 or 4 coaches out there. And I think that's really important that they get that sort of training from the first team coaches as well.
Well, we took some video footage of that session out there, which people can watch on our social media platforms. Following on from what you've just said though, it is a game that you want to win. How do you balance that desire to get the right result with the fact that you also want to include some of the younger players in the squad as well?
Well, I think quite easily with that, Rose, because the players want to win anyway. So they do, whoever's playing and the ones who are at it. We are very competitive the way we train now. We keep the scores in all the small-sideds, all the possessions, and we have a running table of how we keep scores in training sessions. So the lads are hugely competitive anyway. So we feel like any team we put out want to win. Being able to win that game, though, is another story. So we need to do the right things well. We need to pick the right team, play the right shape in the system. But I think that in terms of the motivation to win it, these guys want to push as far as they can in this cup. We do as well, I think, as a club. And I think that's important to highlight, that when you have got a 1-game week, it's really important we focus on the next game, and to get a good result there carries on the momentum and the decent start that we've had to the season.
And finally, as always, we talk about availability. It's good to see players coming back from injury. The second round of the Welsh Cup, Ryan Brobble played the full 90 minutes. He was coming back into the team, of course. It was great to see Danny Davis back as well against Barrytown United. Are we likely to see him, like Ryan Brobble in the previous round, play the full 90? And what's the general availability of players to you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, look, it was great to have Danny back. He had a great European run and was really sort of hitting his stride, we felt, in terms of his performances. So for him to be out for a little bit was a shame for him, but yeah, he's back now, which is good. So he could be available. Whether we start him or not, we're not sure yet. And we'll have a look at 1 or 2 others. Blaine Hudson missed the game on the weekend, so we'll have a look at him for this game, see how he is. But apart from that, Dean Ebb's back in as well, who was on the bench on the weekend, so it's good to have Dean back. And like you say, Ryan Brobble will be pushing for a start as well, playing the full 90 in that last cup game and influencing off the bench in the last couple of games. So yeah, getting closer back to a fully fit squad. Sis is still out as well, unfortunately he won't make it for this game. So still 1 or 2 injuries, but we're in a much better place than we were sort of 4 or 5 weeks ago.